Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, hit subscribe so you'll never miss the most courageous dog tales we share every day. What if the most dangerous criminal wasn't a man, but a network of lies hiding behind a perfect family facade? And what if the only one who could expose them wasn't a hero in a uniform, but a four-legged hero who had already retired? Today, we're going to tell you the most unbelievable tale of a dog's unwavering loyalty that brought a broken little girl to justice. This isn't just a story about a dog saving a life. This is a story about a silent hero who knew a secret the human world was too blind to see. A storm was coming, the dispatcher had said. But in the quiet New England town of Fairview, Detective John Riley knew a different kind of storm was already here. It was a storm that had been brewing in the shadows for years, and it was about to break right inside the courthouse, carried on the paws of a hero who was supposed to be enjoying his peaceful retirement. A hero whose name was Zeus. His day was about to turn upside down. The call came in not for a fire or a robbery, but for something so unbelievable it made his blood run cold. His old partner, a retired police dog named Zeus, was at the courthouse. He wasn't just there, he was holding a little girl in his jaws. Riley sped through the downpour, his mind racing. Zeus, his trusted gentle giant, a golden Labrador with a heart of gold. Riley had raised him, trained him, and watched him retire from the force 2 years ago. They had faced blizzards and blazes together. Once Zeus's keen nose had led them to a family trapped in a flash flood, saving them just as the water closed in. Zeus never made mistakes. He was a beacon of unerring loyalty. So why was he here at the courthouse holding a child? When he burst through the doors, the scene was a nightmare. The polished floor was a battlefield of rainwater and chaos. A crowd of security guards and staff was frozen in disbelief, staring at the massive dog standing silent and unwavering in the center of the hall. His coat was matted, his paws were thunderous on the tile, and in his jaws, held with impossible care, was the limp body of a little girl no more than 4 years old. She wasn't just bruised, she was broken. Her tiny body was battered beyond recognition, and a single shallow breath was all that kept her alive. The storm outside was nothing compared to the one raging inside Riley's chest. He looked into Zeus's eyes, and he saw it the same focused, unwavering intensity he'd seen on countless missions. But this time, there was a new emotion, a silent, desperate plea for help. "Call 911, someone finally shouted, but Riley knew it was too late for just a simple medical response. This wasn't an accident. This was something far more sinister. Zeus hadn't brought her here for medical help. He'd brought her here to expose a deeper truth. This wasn't just a rescue. This was a statement. A living, breathing piece of evidence that a dog had delivered to the front steps of justice. The question wasn't who had done this. The question was why a retired police dog had brought her here to this specific place, as if he knew the legal system was the only place where she would truly be safe. The plot had just begun to thicken, and the first shocking twist had already been delivered. Riley looked from the girl to the dog, and in that silent exchange, he knew they were about to step into a world far darker than he had ever imagined. This was no random act of heroism. It was a calculated, desperate move. Zeus knew a secret, and he was counting on his old partner to listen to his silent plea and unravel the chilling mystery that had brought this broken girl to their doorstep. The hospital room was a stark world of white walls and hushed whispers, a place where a child should find healing. But for Lily, it was just another cold prison. The fluorescent lights hummed with a sterile indifference, a stark contrast to the living, breathing warmth curled up on the floor beside her bed. Zeus, the magnificent Labrador, lay with his head resting on his paws, his eyes never leaving the little girl. He was her silent guardian, her anchor in a world that had betrayed her. Every time a nurse entered, Lily would flinch, her tiny hands clutching at the sheet. But if Zeus so much as shifted, her trembling would stop. She would reach out a small bruised hand and run her fingers through his golden fur, a fragile connection that seemed to be the only thing keeping her together. He was not just a dog, he was her safe space, a living, breathing testament to unwavering loyalty. He had brought her here, and now he was protecting her from the world outside her thin hospital walls. Detective Riley watched it all from the doorway, his heart aching. He had seen the medical report. The list of injuries was a catalogue of inhumanity. Who could do this to a child? He had his suspects, but the first shocking twist was just moments away. A truth so twisted it defied all logic. The police database had turned up nothing on the girl but her clothes, or what was left of them held a clue. A name tag, barely visible, Lily Reed. Evelyn Reed. The name hit him like a physical blow. Evelyn wasn't a stranger. She was a well-known social worker in the community, a supposed pillar of child advocacy who had gone missing 2 years ago. The media had mourned her, painted her as a victim of a tragic disappearance. But as Riley stared at the girl in the bed, the pieces of a darker puzzle began to snap into place. Evelyn Reed hadn't disappeared. She was the one who had disappeared Lily. The loving social worker, the woman who preached kindness and care, was the mastermind of this horror. He approached the bed speaking softly, trying to connect with the frightened child. "Lily," he said gently. She didn't respond. He showed her a picture of his family, hoping to see a flicker of recognition, but her eyes were empty. He was losing hope. This child was lost in a silent, terrifying world of her own. But then, as if sensing his despair, Zeus nudged her hand. Lily's eyes, which had been blank moments before, focused on the dog. A tiny, almost imperceptible whisper escaped her lips. Riley leaned in, his heart pounding in his chest. "What did you say, sweetie?" he asked. She looked at Zeus, her eyes filled with a love that transcended all trauma, and she spoke her first word not to her rescuer, but to the source of all her comfort. "Zeus," she whispered, her voice a fragile, beautiful melody. It was more than just a name. It was a promise, a declaration, and the first piece of the truth that would unlock a terrifying conspiracy. With that single word, Lily had given them the only lead they needed, a lead only a dog could provide. The real investigation had just begun. The trail went cold. The initial shock gave way to the brutal reality of a dead-end investigation. Every lead was a cul-de-sac, every clue a lie. But Detective Riley refused to give up. He had seen the truth in Zeus's eyes, and he knew a dog's loyalty wasn't just an emotion. It was a compass. Riley brought Zeus back to the area where Lily had been found. The tranquil town, once so familiar, now felt alien, a place crawling with unseen secrets. They moved with a silent, shared purpose, Zeus's nose to the ground. The dog stopped at a small stone bridge over a dry creek bed, his gaze fixed on a large moss-covered rock. He began to dig and scratch with a frantic urgency. Riley followed his lead and with a heave rolled the rock aside. Underneath, buried in the damp earth, was an old metal box. Inside, there was no money, no jewelry, but something far more valuable, a laptop with an encrypted hard drive and Evelyn Reed's handwritten notes. Riley's blood ran cold as he read. These weren't just a diary. They were meticulous plans. He discovered Evelyn was a key player in a sophisticated trafficking organization, using her position as a social worker to prey on orphaned or guardianless children. Lily wasn't just a victim. She was the central link in a multi-state network. But the biggest plot twist was still to come. The notes revealed that Evelyn wasn't alone. She had a mysterious accomplice. The chase shifted to a new location, a dilapidated old auto repair shop. Riley and his team found a man tied up, his mouth gagged. This was the second jaw-dropping twist. The man wasn't an innocent victim, but Evelyn's own accomplice. He was a tech specialist who had created the very system of encrypted drives and fake identities. But consumed by guilt, he had betrayed Evelyn, attempting to take Lily to safety before he was caught and silenced. With his information, the investigation broke wide open. Riley learned Evelyn had a plan for a final escape. Her location, a secluded old shipping warehouse on the edge of town. Riley's team moved in the flashing lights of their cars, cutting through the night. Zeus led the way, his instincts a silent guide through the maze of towering containers. The air was thick with tension, every shadow a potential threat. They found Evelyn in a hidden control room, preparing to detonate a bomb to destroy all the evidence. Riley tried to talk her down, his voice calm, but she was cold, defiant, a woman utterly convinced of her twisted righteousness. He knew they were running out of time, but a full-on assault could trigger the explosives. That's when Zeus stepped in. The Labrador let out a low growl, not of menace, but of pure, focused authority. He didn't lunge at Evelyn. Instead, he leaped onto the control panel, his powerful paws and claws expertly disabling the detonator's wires. It was a flawless surgical strike. A final heroic act that proved the instinct of a hero once awakened never truly goes away. The air in the hidden control room was thick with a chilling calm. Evelyn Reed wasn't the snarling monster Riley had imagined. She was poised, almost serene, standing before a panel of monitors, her face illuminated by their pale glow. When Riley entered, his gun drawn, she didn't flinch. She simply smiled, a cold, empty gesture that sent a shiver down his spine. "You're too late, detective," she said, her voice like polished steel. "I'm not the monster you're looking for. I'm a savior. This system is a failure. I simply gave these children a better chance at life, a chance with families who could truly appreciate them, not like the people who abandoned them." Her monologue was a twisted sermon, a chilling justification for unspeakable acts. She spoke of power control and a warped sense of philanthropy. She wasn't a product of madness. She was a product of twisted logic, which made her infinitely more terrifying. She pressed a button, and a small red light began to flash on the control panel beside her, a timer counting down to detonation. All the evidence, all the files. "They'll be gone," she said triumphantly. "And no one will ever find the truth." Riley felt a wave of cold despair. He couldn't rush her. Any sudden move would trigger the explosives. But in that moment of crisis, a shadow moved. Zeus, who had been a quiet sentinel behind him, now moved with a purpose that transcended any human command. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He was a silent, graceful blur of gold and muscle. In a single fluid motion, Zeus leapt. He didn't lunge at Evelyn. He targeted the control panel. His sharp claws, honed by years of training, meticulously ripped out the tangle of wires connected to the detonator. The flashing red light went dark. The hum of the timer fell silent. Evelyn's face, for the first time, crumpled into pure, unadulterated shock. Her power was gone, stolen by the very animal she had underestimated. The arrest was a quiet affair. The charismatic, dangerous woman was reduced to a defeated figure her reign of terror over. But the true resolution was yet to come. Days later, in a sunny room at a temporary foster home, Lily was reunited with her biological grandparents who had been searching for her for years. The reunion was a tearful, joyous affair. And there beside her was Zeus. The dog who had brought her to justice was now her permanent guardian, a symbol of hope and a silent, loyal shadow in her new life. He was no longer a police dog. He was a family member. But the story wasn't over. The courtroom was waiting, and there the world would finally hear the incredible tale of the Labrador who chose justice over retirement. The courtroom was a theater of judgment, a sterile place of black robes and stern faces. But on this day, it was different. Every eye in the room was fixed on one man and one dog. Detective John Riley stood on the witness stand, a microphone in his hand, ready to tell a story no one would believe unless they saw it. He recounted the entire saga from the moment a storm-soaked Labrador named Zeus appeared at the courthouse to the chilling discovery of a child trafficking network. He spoke of Evelyn Reed's cold, calculated betrayal and her final desperate act. He was powerful, his voice laced with the weariness of a man who had seen too much darkness. But his final words were for his partner. "Your Honor," he said, his voice cracking with emotion and members of the jury. "I've worked with the best, but I've never worked with a hero like this. Zeus didn't follow a manual. He followed his heart. He didn't just save a girl. He gave her back her voice. He brought justice to this room with nothing but his unwavering loyalty." The most impactful moment came next. Lily, now stronger and no longer hiding from the world, was brought to the stand. Her small hand was held firmly in the paw of her best friend. The prosecutor asked her to identify her abuser, but she didn't need to say a word. She simply looked at Zeus, a gaze filled with a lifetime of gratitude. She then looked at the courtroom and then at her grandmother, a small, knowing nod that spoke volumes. It was a silent testimony more powerful than any speech. She was not a victim anymore. She was a survivor. And Zeus was her living proof. The verdict was swift and just. But the true story was not in the conviction. It was in the lesson etched into the hearts of everyone who heard the tale. And so we learn that heroes aren't always found in grand acts or in a uniform. Sometimes they are found in the most unexpected places. In the fierce protective loyalty of a dog. In the silent courage of a child who refuses to give up. The story of Zeus and Lily is a reminder that even in the darkest of storms, there is always hope. It is a testament to the fact that when we listen with our hearts, the truth will find its way to us. If this story touched your heart, give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, the world is full of these silent heroes, both human and animal. What act of bravery, big or small, are you ready to be a part of today? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales of courage and loyalty.